Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Kabir Considers. In this video, I'm going to react to the top 10 best American muscle cars of all time. Now this is genuinely going to be a lot of fun for me because I remember watching the very first Fast and Furious movie, with Vin Diesel and Paul Walker. This was like, man, what was this? Like 2001 or something? Like way back. And seeing, what was the muscle car that Vin Diesel had in that movie? I think it was was it like a Shelby or something like that? A Shelby or a Ford GT? Or it was something like that. And it was just the aesthetics of it was so different to anything I'd seen up to that point, here in the UK. The strong haunches, the half of the engine protruding from the nose, from the bonnet of the car. The width of the seats, that deep, bassy engine sound, loved it, honestly. And I do want to own an American muscle car at some point in the future. But obviously, there's a wide variety. Like, I can only probably name 2 or 3. Like, does the Dodge Viper count as a muscle car? Probably does. There's the Hellcat as well. And the Ford GT, but there's probably way more. And this video, I'm hoping it's going to, bring me up to speed as to what are the different varieties, the different looks available, and also just what are the best muscle cars. So this should be a lot of fun. Let's do it.
Hi there. It's hard not to smile when you see a classic muscle car. These powerful monsters were created to not only take you from one point to another, but also to deliver a thrilling ride full of heart-pounding pleasure. Big, heavy, loud, and rough, they're all the wonderful things in muscle cars that you should love the American automobile industry for. And in today's video, you will learn about 10 legendary muscle cars, the appearance and power of which are amazing.
The look is just so cool, honestly. This reminds me of the car David Hasselhoff had in, what was that show he had? The one where the car had a brain. What was the name of that show? Knight Rider?
1968 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500. The Ford Mustang cars, modified by American racer and designer Carroll Shelby, were the cherished dream of every true Mustang fan. Released in 1965 and 1966, the Shelby GT350 and Shelby GT500 models were not only powerful, but elegant and light, perfectly suitable for traveling. After a couple of years, the Shelby GT philosophy changed, and his cars actively participated in sprint race competitions. So under the hood of the 1967 and 1968 Shelby GT500 was an engine with a capacity of 625 horsepower and a volume of 427 cubic inches. The engine is aligned with a 6-speed manual gearbox designed for drag races. The increased body length and more aggressive appearance of the car favorably distinguished the Ford Mustang Shelby GT500 from the 1965 GT350 models.
How much would one of those, the Shelby GT500 in mint condition, how much would that run you today? It's probably a lot, right? If I had to guess, what, 60 grand in US dollars, something like that, would that get you one of those? I know some of you are probably laughing at me thinking that might just get you the door.
1970 Chevrolet Camaro Z28. Chevrolet Camaro, the iconic American passenger car, manufactured by the Chevrolet division of General Motors Corporation. Cars of the second generation were produced from February 1970 to August 1981. The standard Sport Coupe model could be supplemented with the special design package Rally Sport RS, or equipped with more powerful engines performed by the Super Sport.
This one looks more refined than the Shelby GT500. I probably prefer the aesthetics of the Shelby GT500, but this is still an attractive car.
SS. In parallel with the release of these modifications, a high-speed package was also released under the code Z28. No one advertised it or offered it, and it was not broadcast to the general public. But the Chevrolet Camaro Z28 model became the most famous for the entire existence of the brand. Package options for the Z28 included a special 5.7-liter engine with 360 horsepower, spoilers front and rear, and coloring in the form of racing stripes on the hood and trunk lid.
So it's not quite as powerful as the Shelby GT500 either. It's got like pretty much half of the horsepower.
White for cars painted in dark colors, and black for cars painted of light shades. 1967 Chevrolet Impala SS.
Oh yeah.
The Chevrolet Impala is another iconic American full-size car, manufactured by the Chevrolet division of General Motors Corporation.
That is so cool.
The sports modification
I love all the chrome detailing. Oh man.
Impala SS Super Sport was produced from 1965 to 1967 and won a crowd of fans. The body of the 1965 model was great by American standards and remained in service for a long time.
That is a
But in
wide
1967, it was restyled. The car received a more thorough sculptural study. The sidewall of the body was a bit smoothed, their lights were recessed into the grille, and large turn signals on the sides. The car began to look more harmonious and aggressive. The engine of the Impala 67 is also worth a look. It was a V8 with a capacity of 425 horsepower and a volume of 6.7 liters, which literally tore the asphalt from under the wheels. 1970.
Honestly, like manual, it's a shame that manual transmission cars are being pretty much phased out now. I think within the next few years, you probably won't even be able to buy a brand new manual car. I think in America, most of you guys drive automatic. There's just something about driving manual. I think you guys call it stick shift. It's just, you're way more involved as a driver, like feeling the engine kick up and, oh man, it's just so good.
70 Chevrolet Chevelle LS6.
This one
when the company GM squeezed their previous requirements, prohibiting the installation of an engine of more than 400 cubic inches on medium-sized cars, in the American automobile industry there was a real boom of muscle cars. According to most conservative estimates, the power of the LS6 was 450 horsepower, but according to some experts, due to the high compression ratio and the huge Holly...
This thing looks brand new. Like, is this thing ever driven? Look how clean the engine is.
78 CFM carburetor, the actual power of the LS6 was close to 500 horsepower. Employees of the magazine Car and Driver tested the car in 1970 and claimed it went from 0 to 60 in 5.4 seconds. How much faster do you think this car would be today with modern tires? 1970 Plymouth Hemi Cuda. Plymouth Hemi Cuda was not a full-fledged model, but a sports version of the third-generation Plymouth Barracuda with a huge Hemi engine. As befits a true legend among racing cars, not many cars could compete with the 1970 Hemi Cuda.
I like this.
It was distinguished by its classic balanced appearance and engine, the frame of which was no less than the car itself.
I love how these American muscle cars have that. Most of them tend to have this, high aggressive haunch. It just makes a car look muscular. Do you know what I mean?
The frame of which was no less than the car itself. The heart was the legendary 426 6.9-liter block Hemi. Fully cast iron, it possessed 2 valves per cylinder in hemispherical combustion chambers. The valves were driven by a single camshaft, and the twin exhaust system helped to fill the full power of the engine. The car accelerated to 60 miles per hour in a record 5.6 seconds,
Not bad.
and the maximum speed reached was 117 miles per hour. 1969 Pontiac GTO Judge.
I love the paint job on this. The gorgeous turquoise.
In the early 1960s, Pontiac was the leader in the manufacture of muscle cars. Often, the GTO is called the first muscle car, but by 1968, the car had too many competitors. Then there was the idea to create a cheaper version of the GTO with a smaller engine of 350 cubic inches. Chief engineer John DeLorme did not approve of this venture. In his opinion, the GTO could not have such a small engine. As a result, the new model was different from the traditional GTO. The Judge was equipped with a 360 horsepower Ram Air 3 engine, but buyers could also choose the Ram Air 4 at 370 horsepower. The rarest was the Pontiac GTO Judge Ram Air 4 convertible. They released only 17 models.
This is honestly such a sexy car. Oh my God. I would love to just own this for like a week in the summer. Man,
in 1969.
Just cruising down.
1978
sunglasses on.
Pontiac Firebird Trans Am. The 1970s for the muscle cars became a pale semblance of previous decades. Rising prices for fuel and insurance have forced manufacturers to restrain their passion regarding super powerful cars. This affected almost all car brands, but not Pontiac. Their Trans Am has become a public favorite since the release of the 1977 film Smokey and the Bandit. The 455 engine with a volume of 7.5 liters and a power of more than 370 horsepower, which is deservedly considered the last of the number of legendary engines for the generation of muscle cars, was installed in the Trans Am version. And the WS6 Special package added wider 8-inch wheels, new tires, and very sharp steering to the car.
When you own a car from, like a lot of these cars are from the 80s, 70s, so they're 50 years old, some of them, is maintenance quite costly? Like, I imagine it probably is going to be a lot more costly than buying a new car, because obviously the technology and parts and stuff like that, parts are probably going to be harder to find. Any of you guys who own some of these vehicles, like, do you do a lot of the work yourself, I imagine, or like, how much does it cost to own one of these vehicles compared to a modern car?
As a result, the Pontiac Firebird Trans Am has become much more agile and faster on the track than the Chevy Corvette. 1969 Dodge Charger RT. The Dodge Charger is the iconic American car produced by Dodge division of Chrysler Corporation. In 1969, the Dodge Charger was slightly modified from the previous 68-year version. External changes included a new grille with a split in the center and new taillights from designer Harvey Wynn. A new trim line called Special Edition was also added. In addition, to further enhance the image of the muscle car, a new option package was added under the name
That car is so badass, honestly.
RT, which meant road track.
Just looks
The
mean.
RT index was placed only on cars with high power. The Dodge Charger RT came with the 440 Magnum or 426 Hemi engine. 1969 Ford Mustang Boss 429. The golden years of NASCAR came at the
I don't think there's been one car on this list that I've disliked, honestly. I just love the aesthetic. It's just so refreshing, because all supercars these days all look very similar, very low to the ground, very sharp lines, angular. These just have a really different aesthetic.
end of the 70s and the beginning of the 80s. Automakers were serious about racing, and for the purpose of homologation, that is, to participate in racing models, they should have produced at least 500 models, however, often producing models that were extremely dangerous for the streets. The Ford Mustang Boss 429 was a real beast. Its V8 429 cubic inches gave out 375 horsepower and 6,000 RPMs. But the engine was so massive that it did not fit into the classic engine compartment of the Mustang.
Wow.
Then Ford signed a contract with the company CarCraft to eliminate all interface. Specialists at CarCraft had to redo half the elements to make room and literally squeeze in the engine. Today at auction, the model 1969 Ford Mustang Boss 429 is sold for more than $200,000.
Whew. 200 grand. Blimey. I suspected that my $60,000 estimate was on the low side, but damn. 200K. You could probably buy a Ferrari 458 for that quite easily. You could definitely buy a Gallardo brand new. Yeah. But yeah, hey, the price is the price.
1970 Dodge Challenger RT. The Dodge Challenger is a cult car designed to compare with cars like the Chevrolet Camaro, Ford Mustang, and Pontiac Firebird. Coupe models were offered in 4 versions: Challenger 6, Challenger V8, Challenger TA, and Challenger RT. The Challenger RT is a more powerful model with a Chrysler 383 Magnum V8 engine with a capacity of 335 horsepower. Additionally, the RT was equipped with the Chrysler RB440 V8 Magnum 375 horsepower.
This is just a gorgeous car, man. Like, I'd love to rent one of these, like, in the summer. Just babe magnet.
Chrysler RB440 V8 6-pack 390 horsepower, and Chrysler RB426 V8 Hemi 425 horsepower engines. The Challenger RT was available in a coupe or convertible type body. The coupe in SE version could be ordered with a more luxurious body, which included leather seats, a vinyl roof, as well as a smaller rear window. And lastly, another great muscle car, 1969 Mercury Cougar Eliminator. This car was produced from 1967 to 2002. The year 1969 brought a few additions.
Wow, 67 to 2002, that's a long run.
And adjustments to the Mercury Cougar. For the first time, the most productive package, Eliminator, appeared, which in the basic configuration came with a 4-chamber carburetor and an 8-cylinder 351 cubic engine with a capacity of 290 horsepower. It was distinguished with a black grille, special bands on the body, front and rear spoilers, and a large air intake. The body was painted only in bright colors. That's all for today. Write in the comments which of these cars you like the most. And don't forget to put like if you like this video.
Absolutely gorgeous cars, honestly. Gorgeous. I love the look. Just the that boxy, muscular look. It's amazing. Maybe it's because, you know, over here you never see cars like that. Never, like never ever. Unless you go to a car show, maybe. But out on the road, I couldn't tell you when I last saw an American muscle car on the road. So maybe it's the fact that it's a bit of novelty, but I honestly, I'm in love with the aesthetic. Like, I'd love to own one of these one day. I know they're super expensive, but maybe if I start putting a $5 away, I'll get there eventually. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.